First, it was Paramount Park, then the London Resort, or as I always called it, a land scam. Well, finally, the dream is over. I can see that many of you are returning viewers and you're not subscribing, so please, if you are a returning viewer, hit that subscribe button. Florence here would absolutely love it. If you like this video, drop a like at the end. Sorry about the ads, by the way, I don't have an ad blocker on here. British Disneyland dream is over, as Judge winds up firm behind plans for £3.5 billion, which was never going to happen, theme park after years of backlash from eco-campaigners. The London Resort Company first revealed plans to build a £3.5 billion theme park on the 535 acres of former industrial land on the Seanscombe Peninsula near Dartford back in 2012, back when it was Paramount Park. You may not know this, but there was another Paramount Park that was supposed to be built in Murcia, Spain. And guess what? They laid like a foundation stone. They just never built it. It never got built. And this one, I said from the word go, would never get built as well. I was called a pariah. I was told I was saying heresy. But it looks like I have played the long game. And 12 years down the line, I'm absolutely right. Set to feature 50 rides and attractions, including 8 huge roller coasters and different zones containing medieval castles and an Aztec pyramid, together with a 2,000-seat theatre and nightclub. Do you really think they were going to build a theme park off the bat with 8 large roller coasters? This isn't Epic Universe, and even over in Epic Universe with Universal Studios, a well-established theme park brand, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 coasters. And 2 of them are the same coaster. Stardust Racers, Curse of the Werewolf, and Hiccup's Wing Gliders over in How to Train Your Dragon Land. The plans were too ambitious, in my opinion, and that's why I was always skeptical. It was far too ambitious. Even Universal Studios here in the UK, if it gets built, and it looks like it might get built, it's not going to feature 8 coasters. It's not going to feature 50 rides and attractions. It's going to be a small-ish Universal probably movie park. It might have 1 or 2 coasters, but it will have things like a city walk, a hotel or 2, but it's not going to be as grandiose and ambitious as this Paramount Park thing. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's good to have ambition, but this thing was just never going to get built. And so many people were so excited about it, and I just never shared that excitement. Artists' impressions showed floodlights illuminating a huge castle and lava waterfalls on the park, which was set to be the size of 136 Wembley stadiums. I'm telling you about ambition here. The site has run into a raft of problems, including Natural England's decision to designate the land as a site of special scientific interest, and the company behind the park racking up £100 million of debt. How on earth did they manage that? Not a shovel was laid. Not a foundation. How on earth have they managed that? Now a judge has driven a final nail into the park's coffin following an application by Paramount, which is owed £13.5 million. And they never did anything. No Paramount Park was built. No Paramount rides or attractions were built. And suddenly they owe Paramount £13.5 million. I'm going to call BS on that. Insolvency and Companies Court Judge Sally Barber found the London Resort has ceased trading and appears unlikely to ever do so again, according to the Times. The attraction, which was expected to have 12 million visitors a year, talking about ambition here, and create 30,000 jobs, was due to open this year. It never did open, did it? I'm sorry if it feels like I'm gloating here a little bit, but I did warn people. This was far too ambitious from a company that had clearly never done this before. It started off as Paramount Park, and then that never got built, and then it morphed into the London Resort, and not a shovel was sunk into the ground for that. Look at some of these concept images here. The park was going to be based in Kent and Gravesend and Dartford. Billed as one of the most ambitious theme park projects ever in Europe, the London Resort would have been the first European development of its kind to be built from scratch since the opening of Disneyland Paris in 1992. Well, that honour is now going to Universal Studios and Universal Studios Great Britain. It was just so grandiose and so ambitious. And like I said, it's great to have that kind of ambition, but they didn't have the investors. They didn't have the money. They'd never built something like this before. And my initial thoughts when they first announced this Paramount Park was land scam. Maybe I was right, maybe I wasn't, but it looks like the company have now wound up somehow £100 million in debt and not built a single thing. Wildlife experts previously expressed concerns over the impact of the park on a tiny spider just 1 centimetre long. It was like a jumping spider, wasn't it? The success of Disneyland Paris is a testament to the impact that a global theme park can have on the economy. The original site would have included a water park, conference and convention centre, and esports facility. Well, there's already an esports facility down there in Dartford, quite close to the site, so I don't know if that really would have done very well. Over 3,500 hotel rooms were set to be created, alongside 2 ferry terminals, 1 each side of the River Thames. Ambitious. Where was the money going to come from for all of this? Look at the caption here for this picture. It says, the multi-million-pound London resort was earmarked for construction on the Seanscombe Peninsula between Dartford and Gravesend in Kent for years. Was it earmarked for construction, though? Because, like I said, they didn't even sink a shovel. I believe there are still businesses operating on the land. Look at these heavily inventive names. The Isles, the Jungle, the Kingdom, Starport, High Street, the Woods, and the Studio. I kind of feel bad for people who were excited for this. The first ever close-up pictures show rides and attractions at the London Resort, which has been dubbed Britain's Disneyland. Renderings reveal the park's dinosaur land. I mean, look at that. You've got seemingly an animatronic T-Rex just walking amongst the guests. You've got this giant, I guess, maybe flying coaster in the background. You've got a zip line there, like a pteranodon zip line. Base camp would have featured 2 roller coasters, a large multimedia live stage show experience, an advanced simulator attraction, immersive fine dining, and an active dig site. One of Base Camp's restaurants would have been a fine dining experience situated at the edge of an underwater cliff. It would have featured floor-to-ceiling windows. Well, looking at that rendering, they're not windows, because that creature there, that's a Mosasaurus. And it doesn't exist. There is no Mosasaurus. So, what it would have featured, if it had been built, would have been floor-to-ceiling LED screens. Hollywood studio Paramount claimed that most of the money the company claimed to owe was a sham. Much of the alleged debt was allegedly linked to Abdullah al-Humaidi, who bankrolled the scheme until he was declared bankrupt. He said that he'd sunk £40 million of his family's fortune into the project, which had ruined my reputation and left me bankrupt and slammed Britain's development process. So he's blaming Britain for it. But in the same breath, we are 12 years down the line, and you couldn't come to some kind of agreement to get started. All eyes are on Universal at the moment, because they only announced that they were going to look to build a UK theme park just about 1 year ago. They own the land, 100%. They own it outright. It is their land. They have done public consultations. And from leaked council meetings that we have seen, they are still working very, very closely in the background with both the council and the government to potentially push through a planning application. And if Universal can manage to start sinking shovels into the dirt in 2025, which I think they may do, just goes to show that the problem wasn't the development process and that this whole thing was a sham. Those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments below. I know I've been a little bit pessimistic here, but it always did look like it was a sham. So if you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, thank you for watching this one. We will see you in the next one. Bye for now.